My agency is working on more than 1,200 Meta ad accounts right now. We literally have more than 1,200 Facebook ad accounts in our business manager. And almost no one on earth has access to that many ad accounts, access to that much testing resource, which has allowed us to test so many different Facebook and Instagram ad strategies. And in this video, I'm going to show you the ad strategy that is consistently producing the best results for us right now. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you the recommended campaign structure, and then we'll talk about other important elements of this strategy, like the creative stuff that is obviously key as well. So let's jump into an example ad account. I'll demonstrate this. I'm going to create a couple of example campaigns and then label them up so that you know what we're doing here. So this is what we're doing for most businesses now, right? What we're finding is working best. And like I said, we've really been able to test this. So let's give these a label. So let's call this one our scaling campaign, and let's call this one our testing campaign. And that's what we're going to use for the vast majority of businesses, is just the two campaigns. Now within those campaigns, we're going to have one ad set each. Those ad sets are going to be targeting the same people. It's going to be a mixture of cold and warm audiences, often going to be open targeting or something very close. Now the reason why we do that is because the way Meta Ads is structured now, when you're using the suggested audience function, which nearly all advertisers are, even if you try and separate out your warm audiences and your cold audiences, Meta's going to kind of blend the two anyway, so you might as well consolidate that into one ad set per campaign and just get all that data in there and allow Meta to optimize properly. If we do have separate ad sets, that's usually because we're segmenting by location, not by different targeting options like interests or, like I said, between cold and warm and stuff like that, right? So why do we have the two campaigns? What it really allows us to do is a lot of creative testing, and creative testing in a way that allows us to take advantage of our winners, but also continually test. If you just have the one campaign, which I know a lot of advertisers are tempted to do now because they understand from people like me and other people saying that you want to consolidate, you want less campaigns, you want less ad sets, you want to put more conversion data within that one element so that Meta can optimize better. But the problem with doing that all the way down to just one campaign is that often you'll have one or two ads that are performing best, and you basically can't test because you try and introduce new ads to run alongside the best performers, and Meta just goes, no, we've got winners, we're going to keep putting budget on those and not put any budget on the new stuff, and therefore you never really find out what works. You can't test, you can't build a bank of ads that you know can perform well or ready to go, and what happens is that your best performers slowly over time drop off because they fatigue, and then you end up in a bit of a bad situation where you don't have ads ready to go, you haven't been able to test, you haven't been able to see what works. If we have the scaling campaign, we can therefore benefit from our winners. We can spend money in there, get great results, get lots of sales, get lots of leads, etc. But we also have a separate campaign where we can test new ads. We can force Meta effectively to spend money on that, on the different new creatives. And we may well find that when Meta gives those ads a proper go at it, that some of those perform better even than the ones in our scaling campaign, and then we can look to move them over and run them as part of our scaling campaign and continually get better results. We know how important testing is. We know how important creative testing is to find ads that might outperform our current ones, but also might give us more longevity because we know our current ones are going to fatigue at some point, right? Now, in terms of the budget split between your scaling campaign and your testing campaign, very much depends on the results that you're seeing. If your results are great, you want to spend more money on your scaling campaign. It could be 80% of your overall budget, for example, because you want to take advantage of that winner. But if your results are quite poor, let's say you're unprofitable, well, you don't really want to be spending much at all on your best performers on your scaling campaign, because what's the point spending a lot of money on ads that aren't working? Much better then to dedicate more of your budget to testing, to finding potentially ads that can perform really well. Then you can look to change the split once you do find those winners. But having more budget in that scenario in the testing campaign allows for more testing, allows for fast testing. You're more likely to find those winners that you could then move over to the scaling campaign. Okay, so that's campaign structure. Like I said, very simple. It's done that way on purpose. Simple, but allows us to do a lot of creative testing, which we'll get to in a second. First, I want to quickly let you know about my mentorship program, which gives you all the support you need to get the best possible Facebook ad and Instagram ad results. And included in my mentorship program are multiple live calls and Q&As per day. So you can literally jump on with us and ask us any questions that you've got. Those calls are held by both me and my expert team members. You get unlimited one-to-one chat support, access to exclusive educational materials. If that sounds interesting, there is a link in the video description below. You can click on that, go through to a page on our website, book in a free, no obligation call with one of my team members, and hopefully we get a chance to work together very soon. So let's move on to the creative part of this strategy that I'm talking about. And I imagine that some of you watching this who've seen my previous videos will now be thinking, okay, Ben, yeah, I get it. You're going to tell me that I need to create lots of different ads and they need to be video ads and I need to dedicate my entire life to becoming a video ad creator. And if I do that long enough with enough ad variations, eventually I'll find winners and I'll make loads of money from meta ads and I'll grow my business, etc., etc. That's not actually what I'm going to recommend here at all. You do need lots of ads, but I don't want you to make any ads. With this strategy that I'm talking about, I don't want you to make the ads yourself. What I want you to do is hire influencers and creators to make your ads for you. This is potentially the single most undervalued and underutilized tactic in the meta ads world that I really want to get the message out there about, because it can help improve your performance so much. We have seen this now with so many different businesses that we work with, that when you work with the right influencers and creators, your results can absolutely take off. Why does that happen? Few reasons. Firstly, influencers and creators are normally really good at making content. That's how they became an influencer and creator in the first place. They'll be one of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, depending on how big their niche is. Right? That's how good they're going to be. Maybe not one, maybe 10 of 100,000 people that are making content in that space, the ones that rise to the top. So they're really good at making video content. So you don't have to learn that skill. You don't have to re-engineer your entire life to becoming a video ad creator. You can just benefit from their expertise by hiring them to do it for you. Secondly, if they have a following and that following matches with your target audience and people respect what they say and their recommendation carries weight, the impact of having that person in your video ads is enormous. It is going to stop the scroll, it is going to hold your audience's attention, it is going to convince them to click, and much more likely to convince them to convert. I still think, even though I talk about it, other people talk about it, that it is massively underappreciated. I've seen the exact same offer, the exact same product, the exact same business go from a 2x ROAS to a 6x ROAS, just because basically the same ad was created, but it was done by an influencer in that space in the first place. It doesn't cost anywhere near as much as a lot of people think. You don't need to work with people that the entire world knows. You can work with niche specific influencers that charge a lot less. And the reason in many cases why they charge less is because they're very much set up for this. Like, it doesn't take them very long. When for example, I have sponsors on my content, right? And I do this as an influencer. Obviously, I'm on both sides of the fence here. I'm an advertiser and I'm an influencer. When I produce a sponsored segment, like an integration for a sponsor, it doesn't take me very long. I know how to record video, my editors know what they're doing, I know the words to say, I know what resonates with my audience. Like, they can do this relatively quickly and easily. They don't necessarily charge that much money for it. And especially if you're going to run it as an ad, here's the added advantage. You are basically giving that influencer or creator extra free exposure. Because if you say, I want you to record an ad for me, by the way, I'm going to go and advertise this to 1 million people over the next 3 months, or whatever the time frame is and however many people are, that's a good selling point too, right? That's a good deal for them. They want more exposure. They want more people to see who they are. Now, I'm not just going to give you that generic advice of just hire influencers. I'm going to get a lot more specific than that and go through the details. Here's what I'd recommend you use. Meta's created a fantastic free tool called the Creator Marketplace. Now, if I just go ahead and click on All Tools and then scroll down here, I can find under Engage Audience, the Creator Marketplace. Now, not every advertiser has access to this yet, but this is an incredible free resource where you can find creators that have audiences in your space really quickly and easily. You can search using keywords, you can then reach out, you can create campaigns, letting creators know exactly what you want from a deliverable standpoint. We will get to that, the tactics around that in a second. And this whole interface, like I said, free to use, is just such an easy way to do what I think has been a hurdle, a stumbling block for a lot of advertisers previously. They've thought, oh, how do I even get in touch with these influencers and creators? And then maybe they tried sending a few emails and never got a response. They thought, oh, this is a waste of time, I won't do this. This platform makes it really, really easy. More about this in a second. Before I get to that, I want to talk about the deliverables of what I want you to ask the creator and influencer to produce for you. I'll get back to the video in a second, but first I want to let you know about Particle. Particle is a fantastic tool that takes meta ads targeting from good to exceptional by providing the in-depth market intelligence and competitive insights necessary to truly understand and reach the right audience in 2025 and beyond. With Particle, you can track competitor sales, pricing strategies, and product launches down to the SKU level, which means you can identify which strategies are working well for your competitors, understand their target audience's purchasing behavior, and uncover untapped market opportunities for your ads. Particle can also help you find new audiences or market segments by revealing top-selling trends or product opportunities. Combine that with Particle's granular SKU level data, and you'll be able to make more informed decisions about targeting, creative, and overall campaign strategy. Right now, you can get started with Particle for free, no credit card required. Just click the link in the video description below. Okay, so here's what I want you to ask the creator or influencer to produce for you when you do reach out to them, when you do potentially create the campaign through Creator Marketplace. I want you to ask them to produce a couple of video ads promoting your product or service. I'd normally recommend giving the creator quite a lot of flexibility around how they do that. As again, someone who sits on both sides of the fence as an advertiser and as a creator, the businesses that I work with where they're really strict on exactly what I can say and how I can promote it, I tend to find those don't do as well as when I have a bit more flexibility around what I include, and I can make it sound a bit more like me and a bit more natural and that sort of thing. So you can of course add in guidelines and stipulations to make sure they don't go crazy and they say certain things, but remember, they're good at this. They're good at getting attention. That's how they became a creator or influencer in the first place. So giving them flexibility is a good thing, and they are incentivized to produce good results for you because they want to keep working with you if you're going to pay them to produce this stuff. But here's the extra tactic that almost no one does, but it makes your influencer creator budget go so much further and also gives you a much greater chance of success. And that's to ask the creator to record 10 hooks. Okay? Now, a hook, most of my audience will understand, but a hook is the first 3 seconds, effectively, more or less, of a video ad. It's the opening scene combined with the opening line or two. And it won't take the creator hardly any extra time to do this. You're basically saying like, look, please, that opening line, also say these other opening lines. Could you do that in a few different locations with very different backgrounds? I mean, it's going to take them a few minutes, certainly less than an hour in many instances, quite quick and easy for them to do. So they're not going to charge you much more for it. But when you have extra hooks, say 10 hooks, and you compare them with those, say, 2 main ads, 2 full ads that they created for you, you now have 20 different ads, basically for the price of, let's say, for 3, because they've got to record the full 2, and then maybe it takes as long to do all the hooks as it would do to create a 3rd ad for you. So basically you're getting 20 ads for the price of 3, because most influence creators are going to charge kind of based on their time, obviously factors in their audience size and that sort of thing, right? So it makes your budget go that much further. Now, the reason why it's 20 different ads, if you take those first 3 seconds and you sort of add it to, so you take all 10 hooks and you have 10 hooks with ad 1 and 10 hooks with ad 2, that's 20 different ads. Because more than 90% of people that see your ad, often more than 95% of people that see your ad, will never make it past those first 3 seconds. So by changing that opening line or two and changing that opening scene, the visuals of it, to the vast majority of your audience, that is a completely different ad. They never saw the rest of it. So the fact that that's the same just doesn't make any difference. And obviously for those small minority that actually did watch more of the ad, well, they're really interested anyway. So you want to advertise to those people again. You want to have another go at grabbing their attention with a new hook to try and get the conversion, assuming they didn't already convert. And it's something that we're doing more and more as part of our own creative testing when we're making ads, but also more and more with influencers, is instead of, it's so much time and effort to create these like long, detailed video ads, it's like, you know what? We've got a winner here. Let's just go and record that opening line with a completely different background with a different top on, or with a different person, or in a different location, or let's change the opening line slightly and let's see if that performs as well. Because the hook, those first 3 seconds, is by far the most important part of your video ad. That's what's going to grab their attention or not. That's what's going to, in many cases, determine the success of the ad, because if they don't watch based on that and don't find out about the rest, they're not going to take the next steps. So I really want to emphasize the hooks. It's such a high leverage activity. You can have input here if the creator's sort of a bit like, what do I do? Be like, say that same thing, but just, you know how your background is normally like this? Just go do that somewhere else. Do it with a phone selfie style as opposed to in front of your camera, or vice versa, depending on how that creator normally operates. It just needs to look quite different, so you get past the what I call the I've seen this before filter when it's put in front of people. Also gives you a much greater chance that it will succeed, because perhaps the influencer creates a an ad for you, video ad, and it just doesn't really land. Well, if you've got 10 different hooks, much more likely that at least one or two of them will land, even if like the original one that they created doesn't, right? So yeah, that is a really important extra wrinkle. You combine that tactic, asking the creators and influencers to do that, with using the creator marketplace, so you can easily find people, contact them, you create campaigns, and you've absolutely got a winning strategy that you can then employ, create lots of different ads. You know, we just talked about an easy way to get 20 ads from one creator. You plug that into the campaign structure that we talked about, where you have the testing campaign and the scaling campaign. You can see how much testing you can get done quickly and at once. Obviously, in an ideal world, you'd work with multiple creators, multiple influencers, budget permitting. And then you better plug that in. The winners you move over to your scaling campaign, you can see how this whole sort of ecosystem and this strategy works and is working particularly well right now. And I think this is only going to become more powerful as AI produces more and more social media noise, more and more nonsense that we just can ignore, things that aren't necessarily true. People are going to be looking for the signal, and the signal is going to be people they trust. It's going to be the creators, it's going to be the influencers. They're going to become more important as AI does more and more content creation, not less. So I expect this strategy to be more valuable and more of a competitive edge as opposed to the opposite going forward. Now, earlier I briefly touched on the creator marketplace and how important that free tool is as part of this strategy. By far the best way to go about doing this. Well, I break down the creator marketplace and demonstrate it in detail, how to use it, how to create campaigns in this video here. And this video here is very much a continuation of this one. In order to get this strategy and use it properly, you need to go through this video, you need to watch the marketplace video, you need to set up your campaigns, do it the right way so that you can find the right influencers, get in touch with them, find the right creators, use this strategy, use this campaign structure, and if you do, let me know how it performs.